This might be the smallest cigarette manufacturing machine in the world, capable of producing 120 cigarettes per minute. Imagine how many a big factory would produce in a day. Well, the world produces 5.4 trillion cigarettes in a year, and that means 14.8 billion cigarettes are manufactured every day. A typical cigarette consists of 4 different components, which include a filter, a wrapping paper, a tipping paper, and tobacco. Each of them has a specific function. The filter is composed of a filtration material that resembles cotton, and it contains small holes that allow air and smaller smoke particles to pass through. It is designed to trap larger particles of tar and tobacco. The cigarette wrapping paper encases the tobacco and allows a controlled burn and smoke release. This paper helps maintain the shape of the filter and allows for ventilation, which can reduce smoke and tar content when inhaled. The tipping paper is used to attach the filter to the cigarette rod. It serves as a cover that seals the filter end of a cigarette, ensuring that it remains securely fastened during handling and smoking. Of course, the 4th component of a cigarette is tobacco, which is the main ingredient. Tobacco is grown all over the world, but China dominates the global market by producing over 2 million metric tons of tobacco every year. Second to China is India, which produces 0.8 million metric tons of tobacco annually. While there are different types of tobacco, Virginia, Burley, and Oriental tobacco are mainly used for cigarette production. Likewise, Criollo tobacco is primarily used in the making of cigars. It is the same tobacco type that Columbus found during his first voyage to America. The most fascinating part of cigarette making is the production and processing of tobacco. You would be surprised to see how they turn those large green leaves into brown tobacco. First of all, seedlings are prepared by sowing tobacco seed in a mixture of compost and loose soil. It is slightly watered, and the starter soil mix is placed in a smaller flower pot, preferably with holes in the bottom. You can do this by hand, but there are machines now that ensure the tiny tobacco seeds are dispersed evenly in each pot with adequate distance, and they don't get buried under thick soil. The seed needs light to germinate, and the germination starts in the first week. In just 3 to 4 weeks, the baby plant grows to several inches. These are grown in a controlled environment with a temperature of about 24 to 27 degrees centigrade. Perhaps this is because tobacco is a tropical plant that requires specific conditions in its early stages. Conversely, you can transplant those seedlings into almost any type of soil. The optimum soil pH for tobacco production is about 5 to 6.5. After 8 weeks, the baby plants can be replanted as seedlings. There are many hand tools and tractor-towed planters available to plant and grow tobacco. The ideal plantation of seedlings varies from region to region. For instance, tobacco is planted in late April to early June in the United States, while Brazilian tobacco farmers plant it from September to December. In China, the best time to plant tobacco is from March to May, in India from June to September, and in Africa from October to December. Soils with a rooting depth of at least 76.2 centimeters are preferred. The production of high-quality tobacco is significantly influenced by irrigation. Tobacco requires an annual rainfall distribution of between 500 and 1,250 millimeters. Rainfall is unpredictable and generally unreliable during the critical growth period. For that reason, irrigation systems are often employed to augment water demands. Most of the time, water is sprayed randomly without much consideration for the crop demand. Studies have shown that both underwatering and overwatering significantly affect the growth of tobacco output. Excessive water damages the roots of the tobacco plants, whereas a meager amount of water during the growth phase of tobacco results in stunt growth. Tobacco benefits from timely water application at levels that raise the soil moisture level either to or near field capacity under situations of insufficient soil moisture. The growth of undesirable plants around the desired ones is a common problem. These undesirable plants are known as weeds. They compete with the cultivated plants for moisture and nutrients and affect their growth by consuming the provided resources. This leads to a decrease in crop yields and the introduction of foreign materials during crop harvesting. Therefore, removing weeds is a mandatory practice in agriculture. From burners to mechanical weed removers, there are various types of machines to remove and destroy them. Tobacco weed management is best done by combining all available weed control methods into a comprehensive program. Weed issues can be reduced by destroying weeds surrounding plant beds and using natural or artificial windbreaks. After transplanting, tobacco normally takes 70 to 130 days to mature and is ready for harvesting. Tobacco can be harvested using two primary methods, depending on the type of tobacco. Whole plant harvesting is commonly used for burley tobacco. Farmers cut down the entire plant at its base when the leaves are ripe. This harvester from the Somarev company is capable of cutting the whole tobacco plant and removing the tobacco leaves. It also collects the leaves and automatically hangs them for curing. This reduces a significant amount of time and effort. Leaf-by-leaf harvesting is preferred for Virginia and Oriental tobaccos. Farmers start with the lower leaves, which ripen first and progressively move up the plant, removing only a few leaves at a time during each pass. In a moment, you will watch how the arrangement of tobacco leaves from various parts of the plant contributes to the flavor of cigars. Now, we have leafy green tobacco, but it cannot be used in cigarettes. It needs to be further processed for weeks, which is called curing. But curing is not just a drying process. The plant goes through several chemical changes. Curing the leaves will change their color by reducing their chlorophyll content. There are 4 different methods to cure the tobacco plant: sun curing, air curing, flue curing, and fire curing. Sun curing is a traditional method of drying tobacco leaves using direct sunlight. This technique is particularly common for Oriental tobacco, which is known for its aromatic qualities. The leaves are exposed to sunlight, allowing them to dry naturally over a period of about 2 weeks. During this time, they turn brown and wither. Sun-cured tobacco tends to have lower nicotine content and higher sugar levels compared to other curing methods. Air curing is a method of drying tobacco leaves that utilizes natural air circulation rather than heat. This technique is commonly employed for various types of tobacco, particularly burley and cigar tobaccos. The curing process typically lasts from 4 to 8 weeks, depending on factors such as the type of tobacco and environmental conditions. Air-cured tobacco tends to have a light, sweet flavor due to its low sugar content. It also has a higher nicotine concentration compared to other curing methods. The fire curing process involves exposing the tobacco leaves to smoke from low-burning hardwood fires, which are maintained in a controlled environment, typically within a barn. The primary types of tobacco that undergo fire curing include pipe tobacco, chewing tobacco, and snuff tobacco. This curing method produces a tobacco low in sugar and high in nicotine. The smoke from the wood gives fire-cured tobacco a unique smoky flavor that is often described as rich and robust. Once cured, the tobacco is moved to another facility for further processing. If the tobacco was harvested as whole plants, the leaves are removed from the stalks in a process called stripping. This is a time-taking process that is typically carried out by hand. The leaves are sorted into different grades based on their quality. This grading is essential as it affects the market value and usability of the tobacco. After sorting, you can sell the leaves, but it's better to pack them into bales first. This method of packaging helps preserve quality and makes transportation easier. In manufacturing facilities, a chain of various machines continuously produces thousands of cigarettes every minute. Firstly, the ready tobacco, in the form of pellets, is passed through the threshing line. This process breaks apart the ready tobacco to lose its rigid bonding, so tobacco can be filled into the cigarette rods. But before filling the cigarette, the thrashed tobacco is blended with some flavoring. After that, the tobacco is blended thoroughly to ensure uniform distribution. This process may also include the addition of humectants to maintain moisture levels and enhance the smoking experience. To produce the rod, a spool of cigarette paper up to 7,000 meters long is unrolled. The cigarette paper is then wrapped around the tobacco, forming the rod. Next, filters are inserted into the prepared rods. These filters are primarily composed of synthetic materials, with the most common being cellulose acetate fibers, a type of plastic derived from plant sources. This material is created through the esterification of bleached cotton or wood pulp with acetic acid, resulting in a fiber that can be spun into bundles known as filter tow. The tipping paper is wrapped by the machines to combine both the filter and the tobacco-filled rod. The khaki color of cigarette tipping paper is primarily a result of historical and marketing choices made by the tobacco industry. Traditionally, tipping paper was designed to resemble cork, which was favored for its appearance and texture. The khaki color mimics this aesthetic, providing a natural look that many consumers found appealing. Each rod is then cut in half, producing 2 filtered cigarettes. The construction quality of each cigarette is checked. This includes evaluating the consistency of the tobacco fill, the integrity of the wrapping, and ensuring that each component is assembled correctly. After that, the ready cigarettes are packed into packs. Each standard pack generally contains 20 cigarettes. But in some countries, the number of cigarettes can vary from 20 to 30. For instance, in the US, you get 20 cigarettes in a pack, but in Ireland, you get 33 cigarettes. Companies also use it as a marketing strategy to give more or fewer cigarettes in a pack than common norms. A number of packs are put into boxes and sent for shipment. But nowadays, some cigarette manufacturing giants are more interested in making e-cigarettes. E-cigarettes consist of 3 basic parts, which include a battery, an atomizer, and a cartridge. A cotton and fiberglass wick is soaked in a solution containing propylene, glycol, vegetable glycerin aromas, and nicotine in varying amounts. When the button is pushed, the heating coil around the wick heats up, and the resulting vapor mixes with the air. The smoke is drawn through the cartridge or mouthpiece when the user inhales. Instead of smoke, the user inhales vapors released from the atomizer. This is why it is called vaping. There are many types of e-cigarettes available in the market, ranging from the traditional manual push button to modern microchip e-cigarettes. Whether nicotine-free or full, they don't contain tobacco. But this does not make them a harmless alternative to typical cigarettes. They also contain chemicals dangerous to human health. WHO is concerned that these products have been allowed on the open market as consumer products and aggressively marketed to young people. There is a class of people who do not smoke cigarettes or vape e-cigarettes, but they inhale the smoke from cigars. The use of cigars is popular among rich people. Movies often depict rich people smoking cigars. Probably, the reason is its price. If you get a pack of cigarettes for just $6, one cigar would cost you $5 to over $20, depending on its brand value. While the price may seem high, considering the entire process of making cigars, it's actually quite reasonable. Cigar is a Spanish word, and it means to smoke rolled tobacco leaves. The Spanish brought the idea of smoking cigars from ancient America to Europe. In the 19th century, the popularity of cigars opened a new industry, and Cuba became the dominant cigar supplier. Here, a woman worker is removing the thick central midrib from the dried tobacco leaves. The midrib is removed, because it affects the overall smoking experience. Next, tobacco leaves are sorted based on their quality and characteristics. The leaves that grow on the uppermost part of a tobacco plant are called legrow. They are thicker and richer in flavor and nicotine. The leaves in the middle are called seco. These leaves offer a balance of flavor and burning characteristics. Volado leaves are the lower leaves. Known for their burning qualities, volado leaves contribute to the cigar's combustion, but their flavor is less intense. Expert hands are required to wrap and bind these leaves in order to make cigars. A cigar consists of three components: filler, binder, and wrapper. The filler is the inner part of the cigar, made from a blend of various tobacco leaves, usually including volado, seco, and ligero. The filler contributes to the cigar's strength and flavor complexity. Binder leaves wrap around the filler to hold it together. It is generally thicker and more robust than the wrapper, but less flavorful. It ensures that the cigar maintains its structure during smoking. When filler leaves are wrapped in a binder, it is called a bunch. This bunch is placed in a mold and pressed to maintain its shape. The outermost layer is selected based on its appearance and flavor profile. The wrapper is typically the most delicate and visually appealing leaf, significantly influencing the cigar's aroma and taste. Premium cigars are packed in wooden boxes. These wooden boxes not just offer a premium look, but also maintain the cigar's moisture and enhance their flavor. Spanish cedar is often used due to its pleasant aroma, ability to repel insects, and effective moisture regulation. Other than cheap cigarettes and expensive cigars, there is a traditional way to smoke tobacco, the tobacco pipe. Native Americans also originated the practice of smoking tobacco with a pipe device, a practice that was as unfamiliar to the world as America itself was. The tobacco pipes are primarily made from the roots of mature briarwood. This plant thrives in the remote areas of the Mediterranean. The obtained wood from the roots is cut into smaller pieces and dried. It takes more than 18 months to dry naturally. This is why kiln drying is preferred. The woodworker crafts this dried wood into pipes. There are two basic parts of tobacco pipe: the bowl and the stem. The bowl is the cup-like outer shell. You place tobacco in it and burn it from above. When sucked, the general stem delivers the smoke from the bowl to the user's mouth. It looks cool to see people inhaling smoke from cigars, cigarettes, or tobacco pipes. Smoking poses a significant health risk, including lung cancer. Several studies indicate that more than 80% of individuals diagnosed with lung cancer were smokers. This is just one disease. There are over 50 diseases that smoking could cause. In addition to this, nicotine in tobacco has a highly addictive nature. The adequate amount of nicotine for avoiding addiction is generally considered to be 5 milligrams or less per day. A typical cigarette contains about 10 to 12 milligrams of nicotine, while large cigars can contain between 100 and 200 milligrams or more. People give different explanations for starting to smoke tobacco products, but social norms and unawareness are the root cause. If 5.4 trillion cigarettes are produced in a year, it means, more or less, the same number of cigarettes are consumed by the people. The total worth of the tobacco trade is $756 billion, and 88% of that is associated with cigarettes. On top of that, $40 billion of the tobacco trade is done through illicit means. However, the trends are shifting now. The world's largest cigarette manufacturer is Philip Morris International. Currently, this company is producing 621 billion cigarettes in a year. It was 707 billion in 2019, and by 2025, the company aims to reduce this production to 550 billion sticks annually.
Demand for cigarettes will have dried up. Some smokers will have quit. The best choice anyone can make.
8% of smokers in the US successfully quit smoking last year, while 56% attempted to quit. The same situation applies to smokers residing in other countries. These numbers are welcoming, but still, there are millions of people smoking billions of cigarettes every day, which needs to be addressed. With that, we end this video. Comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.